Welcome to Culture Talk with Auntie Flo. This is a discussion on our African culture. We're talking about our identity, our customs, our values, our cultural diversity, and our heritage. The way we do things as an African people. Remember, you are an African.
I have got to come out and say, yes, I've come to your village, but from my village, this is what the chief does, and we should have that, which is what Prof calls descent.
I wanted to talk about our value system, which we borrowed from the past or from our ancestors, and specifically look at the role of women as leaders, able to marshal public opinion, to spearhead even a struggle, and look at the role of Mbuyane, for instance. It was the colonial system that began to as Reverend was saying, to separate families, or to in a sense create disjointed families, and in the process of doing that, relegating women to being second-class citizens. Whereas in our trade, from women could be leaders, and a good example is the example chiefs. And chiefs as well. Yes. So one of the things that we need to do is to also regenerate that idea, or recreate that idea that, okay, this is not part of our own history, it's a received history. What our ancestors did was very different from what the colonizers did, to relegate women to second-class citizens. Now, women have had to struggle again, regain that
position.
Position.
It was a very deliberate action by the colonial masters to kill the woman. Why? Because in the center of African thought, the strongest is the woman. You will see all our symbols point to the woman. When you see the issue of continuity, we see it in women. When we see the value, even in marriage, the strongest person, even in our language. That's why we say, where there's no woman, you don't go to. But then, in order, if we continued with that, it meant that they would not break our break. But they needed to separate the woman. And then create out of a man a woman. In other words,
importance because it's only the woman who can say whose child this person is.
Exactly.
In fact, to buttress, the point that, just to buttress the point that, Reverend and Job, have put across, which is very interesting, culture and gender. Where do we stand? When you look at, the Shona people, for example, and this is, a phenomenon that you find, throughout the African continent, the position of the woman. The woman is central to everything. She's the creator. The word msikana, among the Shona people, which is the word, which is girl in English, actually, is composed of
two stems.
Yes, exactly. The first one is musika, and the other one is na. So we say musika na. Musika means creator. She is the centerpiece of creation. Destroy her and you destroy life itself. Na means with. She creates together with someone else. Yes. If she's Auntie Flo, she creates with. Maybe with John, or with Peter, or with James. So this kind of lexical item becomes very revealing in terms of our perception of gender relations and gender itself. But today, because we've been schooled, in a context whereby we tend to feel to think that African culture oppresses and undermines the integrity of the African woman, we run to feminism and try, to get lessons from feminism, which is wrong. We need to go into our cultures and learn and understand our cultures and theorize on the basis of what our cultures say about the position and place, of the woman. In fact, when you look at creation stories, that, as well, go to Kenya. Among the, the Gikuyu people, they argue that God created Gikuyu and Mumbi at the same time, the man and the woman. But the Bible tells us that God created the man first, and he had to put, the man to slumber, and take the rib, from him, give it life, and then there was the woman. But that is not the case in Africa. In Africa, there are creation stories which celebrate and identify the woman as very central right from the point of creation.
Actually, if you just go back a few verses from the creation of Eve, you would find that the Bible actually says male and female created he them, even before he actually made them. That's where the Bible agrees with African thought. I was going to add and say, when the feminist people see the woman in the field, they then said, no, we are abusing the woman. But why was the woman taken to the field? Because she bears fertility. She is the incubator of life. If you send a man to the field, you are not going to reap or harvest anything. So send a woman. That's the value of it. When you are paying Rora, which is wrong. But when you are paying Rora, which is the most important piece to be paid, it is Mombeshora, right? Inkomo eyohlanga. Because nxa eyohlanga ingaphumanga awukaqedi amalobolo. It has got to come out. Why? Because the woman is central to the continuity of life.
And that
is private property of the woman. She is the only person in the home or in the family who is allowed to own private property. Everything that belongs to the father belongs to the family. But Mombeshora is for the woman. So when the colonizers came, they had to distort our understanding and perception of these cultural realities. And in the process, further plunging, the woman, into an abyss where today we are
trying to escape out of that. We are trying to.
You see, even when you look at our chiefs, who really today is the king in Swaziland? It's not Muhwati, but it is Muhwati. The Muhwati, who is the mother of Muhwati, is the most powerful woman in that place. When you see the reed dance, all of you are saying, oh, Muhwati is choosing women. No, they are bringing reeds to fence the palisade of the Queen Mother, of the King Mother in Muhwati. And that is because woman is central to African thought and African philosophy.
We need to learn some of the science in our own languages so that we are able to express things in our own languages. If we use the language that we received, we will never be able to make ourselves understand things better. Things are best understood within that particular cultural context.
And even develop them further in our own way.
Exactly.
In fact, just to add to that, Nelson Mandela, once said that if you talk to a man, or a woman, in a language that he or she understands, it goes to the head. But if you talk to that same person, in his or her own language, it goes to the heart. That's very important and very revealing.
Manje sutinotonyaaraka. Utonyara chaiko kutaura shona mwana andikaenda ku crash. Vana vanotonzi akugona kutaura chirungu here? Akaenda ku crash.
You've been watching Culture Talk with Auntie Flo, a discussion on our African culture. We've been talking about our identity, our values, our norms, our customs, our cultural diversity, and our heritage. The way we do things as an African people. Remember, you are an African.